Life is Strange Double Exposure marks the return of Max Caulfield, the original protagonist from the first game. This entry though is being developed by Deck 9, the team that took over from Don't Nod with Before the Storm and 2021's True Colours. So we know that they can do Life is Strange and they can do it well. But how well exactly have they done it with this latest outing? Well, with a twisting and turning narrative and plenty of supernatural hijinks, it sadly wasn't quite the homecoming celebration that I was hoping for. Hello everyone, it's Aidan here from Push Square, and I was on reviewing duties for Life is Strange Double Exposure, so let's delve into things with our PS5 review. Double Exposure plants its feet firmly in Caledon University campus, a prestigious fine arts school where Max Caulfield resides as a lecturer in photography. As a big fan of the original, it was a lot of fun getting to see a grown-up Max, still very passionate about photography and playfully commenting on everything that she sees. The real juice lies in Max's troubled past though, with despondent messages found on her phone and a guarded secrecy showing that the events of Arcadia Bay still very much haunt her. Now though, with a new small group of friends in an idyllic wintry setting, Double Exposure arrives with the level of coziness that you would expect from the series. The old Victorian university campus is coated in snow, everyone's wrapped up in warm looking jackets with friendly smiles, and the inviting colour palette had me excited to cozy up to my PS5 with this one. But of course, it's not all sunshine and hot chocolates when a body is found on campus. After the mysterious murder of one of her friends, Max must use her time abilities, something she vowed never to do again, to solve the mystery. Unlike the first series, Double Exposure ditches Max's rewind powers in exchange for two separate timelines. Max can switch between a timeline where her friend is dead and one where she is not. It's an interesting multiversal murder mystery premise that sees you connecting the dots between different versions of the same cast of characters. So in that respect, Double Exposure starts out strong with an intriguing and sharp first couple of episodes, and there are 5 in total on this one. And just for some added information, I'm only showing footage from the first 2 episodes so far, so there's no worry of spoilers here. Anyway, establishing relationships with your co-workers and students, you're going to be utilising your timeline hopping abilities to bypass obstacles, wring information out of one version of a character to pry more out of the other, and piece together its central mystery. It's a fantastic balance in those earlier parts of the story, as you have to keep track of the type of relationship you have with each character in each timeline. You could be best friends in one timeline and sworn enemies in another, and the game lets you slip up with which version told you what if you're not paying close attention. It's made all the better thanks to the returning Max Caulfield. Now, Max was never a character that I felt the need to see again, but playing as a grown-up Max in Double Exposure, it was like running into an old high school friend. She's just as likeable as ever, and it's weird in a way to see her drinking at bars and talking about her sex life, but in all the right ways. This still feels like that angsty teen we fell in love with in the first game, with of course some additional trauma now. And for those wondering, Double Exposure is respectfully cautious to call back to the first game too much. There are references and moments fans of the original will enjoy, but for all intents and purposes, this is a standalone adventure. Sadly, the further into Double Exposure that you delve, the more surface level everything begins to appear. For one, the setting of Caledon University campus is severely lacking in comparison to past towns like Arcadia Bay or Haven Springs. The entire game takes place in just a handful of settings, yet none really capture the essence of a university campus. We never see student accommodation, a packed cafeteria, hell, we never even see a class taking place. There are NPCs dotted around that you can listen to, but it feels quite insular compared to past seasons. While something like True Colours, yeah, sure, that had limited settings as well, but you got the sense of the full town, and that isn't really the case here. And that isn't just a case of the settings themselves, it carries over to the characters too. While there are some characters that I found interesting, like Gwen, or lovable, like Moses, the playing field is flat since students and co-workers are all treated the same by Max. It was really easy to forget that Max was even a teacher at Caledon, as she texts students and barely seems to have adult relationships with any of the other teachers. Now, while it's not entirely detrimental to the characters themselves, It takes away from the setting's believability, something quickly perfected in previous seasons. In addition, the central mystery, while it has its goosebump-inducing moments, it eventually starts to feel a little too reliant on those supernatural abilities. Life is Strange has somehow always managed to maintain a perfect balance between its dark story and subject matter and the more far-flung powers of its protagonists. Never once during True Colors or the first game did I question the reality of the protagonist's powers, yet here Max's abilities start to feel like something out of a young adult novel. Now, sure, I know what you're gonna say. If there was a series to fit the young adult vibe, it's gonna be Life is Strange, but I don't think it's ever felt like that before. Whereas previous seasons have had dark secrets or mysteries uncovered with the aid of supernatural powers, in Double Exposure the powers feel too entwined in the mystery for my liking. It takes away from that darker and somewhat grounded tone of previous seasons, and that just meant that the big revelations fell a little flat. Double Exposure also lacks the emotional resonance of previous outings. Now, there were moments where I had a lump in my throat or thought, oh, that's really nice, but there were rarely tear-inducing moments like Max's final decision at the end of the first season. Now, I'm sure some of you will find that emotional core, but for me, it just didn't hit this time around. Now, something that Double Exposure gets so incredibly right is its visuals. True Colors was a big step up for the series, and this outing takes it even further. The same warm colour palette is on display, and there are those flares for artistic graphical style, but there's a layer of realism and believability to its designs. Incredible lighting and far improved facial animations make this a properly cinematic experience at times. There are those moments where the game hands control over to you, and while everything is fairly limited gameplay wise, it all looks and runs nice enough. There's a quality and performance mode for those that want the choice, but in this case I opted for quality with no real visual issues. Annoyingly, Double Exposure falls short of technical perfection, as the pre-release build that I experienced was plagued with audio issues. Dialogue would frequently cut in. One moment it's drowned out by background music, the next it's incredibly loud, and sometimes dialogue would just be completely missing from a scene. Now, I'm expecting this to be completely gone for launch, but from what I experienced, this was the biggest technical drawback of Double Exposure. If it seems like I'm dogging on the latest outing for this series, it's only because I know just how unique and entertaining it can be. Double Exposure isn't a bad game, it's just not the series at its best. It loses some of that inviting atmosphere, with Caledon paling in comparison to Haven Springs or Arcadia Bay, and its narrative suffers from an over-reliance on the supernatural. But I would be lying if I said it wasn't great to see Max Caulfield return, and I still think it's worth checking out if you're a fan of the series. I'm giving Life is Strange Double Exposure a 6 out of 10. Thank you everyone for checking out our review of Life is Strange Double Exposure. Sadly, this one just didn't quite hit. I was really looking forward to it as well, but there's still some enjoyment to be had here. Anyway, let me know what you're thinking of the game down in the comments below, and as always, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation video content. Anyway, until next time, I've been Aaron, and this has been Push Square.